Hey there, welcome to episode 132 of the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program. I'm your host, Dan Hugo. We are recording this at 7:54 in the morning on Friday, September 5, 2025. We normally publish Cafe Genius Impresario's audio programs on Fridays. Could the timing be any better? Today's title and topic, Re-Innovating, appropriate for our global innovation hub that is the Greater Vegas area. If you are not familiar with the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program, let me give you the quick intro, the quick tour, the nickel tour, as they say. Cafe Genius was started in 2022. The first thing we did was the pitch workout room to try to encourage people with ideas to get up and start talking. That's how you do that, with a modicum of success, month over month. Cafe with two F's, an homage to the Cafe Centro, where startups start in San Francisco, a little unassuming cafe in the South Park part of the city, very near the then AT&T. Actually, it was probably around since the Pac Bell ballpark, but AT&T, then today the Oracle ballpark. Sadly, Cafe Centro did not make it. They shut down, I think now it's about 2 years ago. Sad day indeed, but it's where startups started. Famously or infamously, Jack Dorsey was sitting there with his laptop working on Twitter. One of their, we'll just say it's one of their stories. And Genius, named for the Genius lunches that used to take place right here in the downtown Vegas, in the Vegas area, around the downtown project and the various entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial ventures that were attached to that or adjacent to it. It was a great ad hoc, casual, minimal time investment way to sync up, see who's doing what, who's working on who and what and when and how and all that. So Cafe Genius. And then impresarios, those are people who make things happen. And this is an audio program that could be about talking to those people, but it has been much more about maybe the terrain and the environment in which they work or could. Cafe Genius Impresarios, episode 132 on this September 5th. Hopefully, wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description. You're able to find it in more places, I hope. The show notes with a summary, which I believe is 2 sentences, which I'll read, and then a host of links. The links are getting a minor adjustment, so we'll see how that goes. And then we'll get in and out so that we can get on with our weekend. I don't know which day you're listening to this episode, but there's a weekend coming soon, whatever it is. So let's get to it so we can get on with it. The summary of today's episode is, as some believe and will tell you, that first mover advantage is the secret to success. That might even implore you to drop everything in pursuit of your idea. What if instead you take an existing idea and innovate around that? Don't be the first mover. The links for today's episode. First, we'll start out with the host links. This has always been with the assumption that there would be guests. So I've kind of left it like it is. That might transition. I don't know. There may be video discussions if there are guests, and leave this as the audio essay element. Either way, the profile page linking everything continues to be my buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile page. It does have links to all of my audio programming, different projects. It has affiliate links to different products that I actually use, like my favorite coffee beans and so on. You're under no obligation to spend any money. Any funds that do come through that particular platform do go towards coffee and coffee accessories, which is what powers so many of my endeavors. The Buy Me an Update audio program is published every Monday morning. It is a quick rundown on the week's previous audio programming topics and news and announcements upcoming. It is available initially exclusively at buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo/posts. And it's still posted there first. However, it is also available via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. There's an RSS feed and a YouTube podcast feed. So all those are linked on the buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile page. Similarly, the Coffee Solo program, available initially and first at ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/DanHugo/posts. It is a show without a schedule, without a particular topic constraint. It just comes out whenever, however, about whatever. There should be another episode coming out today, if I can get everything sorted for today. So if you check that out, it too is published first and is named for, as with Buy Me an Update, that was available exclusively on Buy Me a Coffee. Coffee Solo was available exclusively at Ko-fi.com. It is now available there first, but again, at the other usual places. It's about making it easy for people to discover and listen to these programs and eventually maybe watch these programs. Ooh, that's another topic for another day. Cafe Genius has a homepage, has a website, cafegenius.org. C-A-F-F-E, Cafe Genius, no space, .org. Very much a work in progress, but all of my audio programs now have associated webpage presence, so I can own their individual presences. So those links are also available on the profile page linking everything. Now some episode links. The Raymond Loewy Wikipedia page, where you will find information about the Maya concept that drove a lot of his design efforts, maybe some inspiration. He's kind of famous in the design world, not a household name, but certainly a lot of the things that he accomplished you would find familiar. The Gartner Hype Cycle Wikipedia page, if you're familiar with the hype curve, we're going to mention that a little bit today. The light bulb, the incandescent light bulb, in fact, if you are familiar with its history, check there as a starting point. Maybe you're not. We'll get into that a little bit today. And then the Greater Vegas Key Industries page. I've referred to this several times in recent episodes. It's available at the lvgea.org website. That's the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, lvgea.org/key-industries. The hyphen is a key next to the 0 on most keyboards, just like in Ko-fi.com. ko-fi.com. So let's get started. The Better Mousetrap. Build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door, so the saying goes. The point being that the things we use or depend on daily at any given time could perhaps benefit from some improvement, some innovation, and such improvements will be attractive to the market. This is not a universal truth, but it is arguably close to universal. Raymond Loewy, something of a celebrity in the design universe, famously pursued his Maya concept, M-A-Y-A, which stands for Most Advanced Yet Acceptable. What does that mean? Make innovative things, but not too innovative. My favorite statement on this: to sell something familiar, make it surprising. To sell something surprising, make it familiar. That's from Derek Thompson in his book, Hitmakers: How Things Become Popular. He talks quite a bit about Raymond Loewy. If you're familiar with the Gartner Hype Cycle, sometimes referred to as the hype curve, which you can check out on the linked Wikipedia page. And always remember, Wikipedia is a great place to start your pursuit of knowledge. It's not always the best place to end it. So you can get started there, checking that page out. You know it starts off, the hype curve, with the new thing, the technology trigger, way over at the beginning on the left, and eventually ends up at the plateau of productivity on the right, where the marketplace has fed back on itself enough to yield products or services that do what people want and need at acceptable prices and reliability and whatnot. And so that they are productizable, they are manufacturable, and so on the production side. Must everything begin with a technology trigger? Well, maybe not. Let's talk about Edison and the light bulb. If you were to survey people around you, a substantial percentage might believe that Thomas Edison is the inventor of the incandescent light bulb. While there are two critical caveats to that claim, or that misconception, the first being that the incandescent light bulb had been around for a while, with the first patent actually granted in 1841, while Edison began looking into this stuff in 1878. The second caveat, and that's from the Wikipedia page, by the way, so begin your familiarity quest there. The second caveat: Edison was not a lone inventor sitting by a creek with no bait on his hook coming up with all of these ideas. Parenthetically, when I worked at Intel, one of our products was called the Intel Edison. As part of the promotion of that product, one of the product management people went to the Edison Foundation in New Jersey, I believe it was. And I said, oh, when you go there, tell them or ask them about the fishing without bait on the hook. And when I saw him again, he said, yeah, they thought they were like, yeah, he totally did that. So they were very excited that he knew that. That's where he would go to think. No bait on the hook, so not even the fish would bother him. Oh, that Edison, he's down there fishing, being a jerk. So he did all those things. He did not do those things. He did do those things, but not himself. But there were other people. That's the important part. The ductile tungsten filament, which eventually became kind of the best way to do reasonably priced and long-lasting incandescent light bulbs, was a game changer, not from Edison, for example. So Edison did some good things, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, he gets a lot of credit. And as so often the case, there's a lot of innovation that goes into that. This is a tale as old as time. There is often some amount of celebrity recognition assigned to a face, while it is quite rare that one person goes from ideation to innovation to implementation. Did Elon Musk invent the electric car, the rocket, the subway? No. Did Steve Jobs invent the personal computer or the cell phone? Absolutely not. More often than not, the infamous quote attributed to Sir Isaac Newton rings true. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. Now remember, Sir Isaac Newton stayed home during the plague and invented calculus. But even though he was famously fairly sure of himself, putting it kindly, he still was giving credit to those before him. Very rare that there's a new idea. Usually we're just improving. Edison improved the light bulb design on a timeline that began decades prior and continued after, but he's still famous. This is not to say that Edison did not invent things, and it is not to say that Edison was a good person. He did some good things. He also murdered animals to demonstrate his ideas for a DC power grid to show that they were better than those promulgated by George Westinghouse, an accomplished inventor in his own right. He invented the air brake for trains, for example, and his assertion that AC power would be better. Speaking of shoulders and giants, Westinghouse was advocating the deployment and use of an AC power grid that was conceived by some guy nobody has ever heard of, a person who did not receive much in the way of accolade and who died penniless, one Nikola Tesla. By the way, Tesla did a ton more than most, more of a deep dive. If you're curious, it'd be worth it to check him out. I kind of have mixed feelings that Elon continues to use the name. The name Tesla was not, it was from the inventors of the rocket book, who I met when I worked at Philips in Philips Displays. And they would go on to found Tesla. Elon would invest in it. So again, so often credit is given to the face that people know and the name, but there's a lot more. The rest of the story is a little bit more interesting, like 99% of the time. So what if we're turning on innovation? Could we do that? No, I do not mean turning against. We're not turning on it as though we are anti-innovation. I mean treating innovation as though it is attached to unironically, a light switch and turning it on, just like that. One of the goals of the powers that be in Southern Nevada is developing a transitional economic focus to diversify the economy away from such dependence on tourism. Tourism is not like 100% of the economy, by the way. Healthcare is actually, I want to say 25%. So, for example, transitional economic focus around leading edge, even cutting edge technology to bolster a claim that this is a global innovation hub. And I'll read you a quote from the LVGEA Key Industries website momentarily to that effect. This is high risk in that it may put price pressures on the existing economy, or the people who power the existing economy, really, which has the trademarked name Fun Economy. That trademark was granted in February of 2025 to the UNLV Office of Economic Development. As I say so often, congratulations, Bo Bernard. You did it. You did it, buddy. While Greater Vegas is more a showcase for things like self-driving vehicles, which are developed elsewhere and tuned through customer interactive use here around town, there is a notion in the air that AI will be the thing. or maybe the next trademark application, maybe the AI economy, the fun AI economy, who knows? But AI, that's where it's at. Allegedly. I may have mentioned this in a previous episode that it is difficult to dictate innovation. And from personal experience, I will say that it is difficult to tell someone who is an actual innovator where they should focus their thinking. Not impossible, but surely people with innovative minds, inventive minds, in fact, who see potential solutions forming where others see problems lingering are not always going to thrive if they are told what to ponder instead. This is one of my concerns with this notion that Vegas will be the center of AI development in some way. It won't be zero, but you cannot sprinkle money on top of a city and say, this will be the AI center of the universe. So if you look back at that Gartner hype curve, what is it? The Gartner hype cycle or the hype curve, the productivity plateau. Why not start with re-innovation? Hey, the title of a podcast episode, perhaps, around existing innovations of old. Take the Raymond Loewy concept seriously and advance the status quo in areas where Greater Vegas is equipped to do so. And in fact, the LVGEA website, that's the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, does feature a key industries page, which I've linked to in the links, that have been around for a while and which are probably a reasonable fit for a maturing, not yet quite mature, but maturing entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem here in the Greater Vegas area, an innovation ecosystem such as ours. It has a ways to go, in my opinion, but you may disagree. I have commented on these specifically in a previous episode, the 5 key industries listed, and I'm gonna refer to the page that I've linked to, and we'll just step through those really quickly. They are 5. First of all, right at the top of the page, Vegas, a global hub for business innovation and leadership. It is interesting that it's business innovation. Elsewhere, you will find that we are a global innovation hub, a global hub of innovation that rivals Silicon Valley. Las Vegas is rapidly becoming a hotspot for growth and innovation, fueled by 5 key industries driving its dynamic economy. From healthcare and biotech to advanced manufacturing, clean tech, fintech, and sports tech, the region, that's a lot of the word tech showing up in there. The region offers unmatched opportunities for expansion. I don't know where they're getting unmatched from. That would be interesting. With a thriving research base, cutting edge infrastructure. Do note that as I'm recording this episode, the entire state of Nevada has been compromised by a cyber attack with a lot of services completely incapacitated. Things like DMV and welfare resources, a variety of things are simply not functional because of our cyber attack. But we do have cutting edge infrastructure and a world-class business environment. In other words, you don't pay taxes here. A lot of tax benefits, no income tax, for example. Thanks, gamblers. Las Vegas is primed to support and sustain industry growth, making it an ideal destination for companies looking to thrive in the future. Well, maybe. So advanced manufacturing and battery. So manufacturing and battery, I don't know why they've typed it that way, but battery technology is, of course, always evolving. The big giant lithium strike at the McDermott caldera up in the Washoe County area in the northern part of Nevada has made that region a sort of an, I can't remember what the title was, but the federal government during the Biden administration was labeling certain areas as innovation regions. And so they have that for energy storage, due in no short part to the identification of this caldera and immense lithium strike. California also has a large lithium strike. So these are game changers for our local economy, and then they're, by extension, the state economy and the ability of the country to sustain energy storage technology and technology development. So those are good things. Advanced manufacturing. Okay. Is it manufacturing batteries? I personally think with the focus on sustainability, especially in the area of water sustainability, water recovery, water conservation. Recently, there have been a rare headline that looks at some research being done at UNLV concerning extraction of moisture from the air. This is not new. If you saw Star Wars in 1977, Luke Skywalker was a moisture farmer with his aunt and uncle. What do you think moisture farming is? It's drawing moisture from the air. So they're just making that better. So that's good. Hey, guess what? Re-innovation. That's amazing. That's great. It's like it was set up for this episode. So I think advanced manufacturing is actually something to look at, especially if we can apply the Nevada. Fun fact, Southern Nevada is a kind of a leading research region for water conservation. So lean into that. Clean tech, sure, I'll buy that. Sports tech and entertainment, certainly entertainment, sports tech. Now they've lumped these together. Sports tech, they're really looking at physicality, training, strengthening, making for better athletes, better sports performances, and so on. The UFC is headquartered here. There are big venues that play a lot of sports. Okay, so that's the entertainment half of that. Not to mention entertainment and hospitality. Entertainment is a huge element of the fun economy. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's totally appropriate for a place like Vegas, where we have something less, but nearly 40 million people year over year. So this year it might be a little bit lower, but that's a lot of people visiting from other places seeking entertainment and hospitality and other such things. We should be leading the way and making those things better, more efficient, a better experience for people visiting, and so on. Better use of accessibility and assistive technologies, and so on. We could be doing all those things. I'm here for it. Fintech is another of the listed areas. I don't know if that has to have a region. I don't know that Vegas is actually a strong player. High availability data centers, maybe, but not really sold on that. I think fintech can happen in a lot of places. They're kind of, Las Vegas, renowned for its vibrant entertainment industry and bustling nightlife, has emerged as a dynamic hub for fintech and payments. Cashless payments. What they're really showing here is that this is a place to showcase fintech, maybe not necessarily be a center of development for it, because you can develop fintech pretty much anywhere. You can develop fintech in a recreational vehicle traveling around the country if you want. Healthcare and biotech, those obviously require laboratory spaces, scientific infrastructure, and so on. There's a medical school that I believe just had its inaugural class start. And healthcare certainly is a component of our economy today, and there are only more people that will need healthcare, especially over the next couple of years. Figure out how to get it. So there's a state-of-the-art research and wet lab space, 64,000 square feet of that at the Roseman University of Health Sciences. Wait, I don't even know where that is, but that's part of the bio and medical school. And so all this stuff is moving in that direction. Great. Guess what? Science, medicine, healthcare, let's re-innovate around those things. Wonderful. So those are the 5 key areas. According to the LVGA, manufacturing and battery, which I don't think go together quite like that. Clean tech, okay. Sports tech and entertainment, those do kind of intersect, but okay. Those really could be 2 separate things also. Fintech, which I think is not really legitimately a Vegas focused thing. It's a showcase here, but you can develop it anywhere. And healthcare and biotech, which I think are also 2 separate things that kind of go together, but not really. Okay. And then finally, they end on a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. They refer to a silly statement that it was the best city in America for pre-IPO startups. That one I've talked about at length. It's silly. It's sad that they're still referring to that here. It's years later. It wasn't completely representative then. It's not really valid now. But there you go. Okay. So where was I? In my opinion, a realistic set of areas to enable for innovation and to encourage innovators to pursue them without telling them what to do are the ones we just went over. When there is a selection of areas that are functional already and a collection of people who see possibility and they're enabled to do something about it, there is a chance that the 2 will meet at the innovation intersection. So yeah, great. This sounds good. If the focus is on products and services that are at the productivity plateau, it is quite possible to present something in this region of familiarity, but with innovative surprise. That's the Raymond Loewy thing, right? So come up with a new thing. Oh, look at this new way of doing hotel check-ins, or this new way that helps people with a need for assistive technologies to get to their rooms and to adapt rooms to their needs, and so on and so on and so on. This could be something emphasized from top to bottom with at least some focus in our local media events, presentations, and so on. That's what I mean by top to bottom, not just something that happens in the, I don't really like this label, but the startup scene, right? Once you are out of the startup scene, then nobody knows any of this is going on. I'm being extreme. I'm being hyperbolic in that statement, but it's not far off. The misconception that Greater Vegas is the next Silicon Valley could use a break while we focus on reality, like making some parts of the world within our grasp work better, stronger, faster. And if you got that reference, great. Better, stronger, faster. You probably thought it was better, faster, stronger, but it isn't. There are still startups, though. I'm not anti-startup. This is not an anti-startup screed, and I'm not suggesting that there is no leading-edge innovation in the Greater Vegas locality. Quite the opposite, in fact. The thing is lacking. The thing that is lacking, as I've mentioned many times, is a culture of innovation, which will require some proactive cultivation effort and some emergence over time as people reach their aha moments, that they can actually turn ideas into action, and others around them will get that. That's when you have a culture of innovation, they'll kind of start shaking their head as you begin to speak. They won't have to be convinced that, you're going to have to show me, they get excited by ideas in a culture of innovation because they know ideas are likely to go somewhere. That's how that works. And our local media and other infrastructure will recognize and celebrate that. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Did you know that there is another startup week in Vegas this month? Today's September 5, 2025. There is a startup week in Vegas. This is not there was another one last year, so there's another one this month in Las Vegas. If you did not know that, why not? Because it's not really mentioned anywhere. Lack of any news coverage or promotion or real buzz outside a fairly small startup community. Maybe that's it. There are a few indicators I point to for things like this, like where I think there's a tremendous amount of room for improvement, like a static number of accelerator programs. Why is there not just over the last year or 2 years or however long they've been pushing this startup week? Why is there not? Well, I guess we'll find out during startup week. But why is there not more actual action? Right? Why are we only hearing about these in the corners? This should be on the front page of newspapers. It should be a topic of conversation. Oh, look, there's another accelerator, another opportunity to turn ideas into action. That's what they're for. Ooh, more opportunities for local startups to move forward. More opportunities for incubators to, you get the idea. We aren't seeing that stuff. Maybe that's what Startup Week will demonstrate. I don't know. Do we have to wait till Startup Week for these things? I hope not, but we'll find out. So a static number of accelerator programs, incubators, and similar, right? Referral to the same startup and or serial entrepreneur as an indication of the strength of an ecosystem. Yeah, I've talked about this already. If everybody talked about Silicon Valley because of Hewlett and Packard and Intel, because of Fairchild. Hewlett, Packard, Fairchild, look at these guys. And you're like, yeah, but it's 1995. Why are you still talking about them? There's been a million other things that have happened there. Well, why are there not? Oh, maybe there are not so many things happening. We should be recognizing and celebrating more startups, entrepreneurialism, innovation. What's the strength of the ecosystem? Where is it headed? Why are more people not involved? The strength of the ecosystem would become apparent. You don't need to hand wave if it's true. And something like Startup Week, which in Vegas goes from, checks notes, September 17th to 20th. And the 20th is Tech Alley. That's on a Saturday. So it's really 17, 18, 19. 3 days. 3 days. That's a short week. Startup Week is half a week. I think we know why. Maybe entrepreneurs and startups, and these are not necessarily in the tech sector, though that is where all the attention goes, when there is some attention being paid, should cook at their own rate. Some form of news reporting or other spotlight on those efforts can be shown from time to time, and the Greater Vegas ecosystem can experience the addition of new creations moving around, making it better and more vibrant. Moving around, making it better, more vibrant. Think about those. To pre-announce that this is the next Silicon Valley and Hollywood 2.0 does something of a disservice when, sometime down the road, actual accomplishment will be the examples of the claim made today with nothing to show. So in other words, if you're going to say this is the next Silicon Valley, but you just keep pointing to the same founder or co-founders and they're on to another startup that is actually, even though we do have this hosting infrastructure here, is actually hosted elsewhere. But that's the person, that's the one who is the entire embodiment of our startup scene and our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Look at him. There he is. Can you see him? There should be just since the, let's call it the last 2 years, there should be 25. There should be 24, let's say 24 or 2 years, 24, it's one a month. There should be 24 new things that are getting just as much as attention. And there should be 24 failures. Wait, am I hoping that things fail? No, but when there are failures and people talk about them and know about them, that means that people are trying. If people don't try, there are fewer failures. So if you talk about stuff now and it never happens, that's kind of a bummer. You're doing it a service because you're setting up for disappointment. Suppose Hollywood 2.0 were announced when something material. So, oh, no, we have to spend millions or billions on studios. And what if there was a thriving production industry here already? And there kind of is. There is the Nevada Film Office, and probably Clark County has some resources for that. Let's see more successful stuff happening there at a smaller scale, building up to something. And then the tax credits, which have now gone through 2 legislative cycles with no progress. Well, they've probably progressed in the wrong direction. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, we should be, and I'm laughing at myself because I'm often an idea person, but it's really hard to convince people who are not in the know that these things are happening when then you talk about it and then nothing happens. So as a startup scene, or how about an innovation culture, we should be very excited about ideas. But if you're going to announce to everyone who will listen that this is the next Silicon Valley, and then everybody says, wait, where? That can be a conversation we have, but we should also be enabling and encouraging the ideas that will lead to that. You can't tell the casual person about that because they think that they don't know the subtlety between ideation and implementation. I would like to see more of that, more innovation, more implementation, not hype. And I don't even mean the hype curve. I mean just the hype, the headlines that are posted on LinkedIn. They get a lot of likes, and then we must be the next Silicon Valley. Coming to the end, the road ahead. Oh, we're coming to the beginning, really, when you think about it. Yes, from the Broken Record Collection, I know I say this all the time, we can innovate in Greater Vegas around some of these key industries, the ones that were listed on the key industries page on LVGEA and others, and do interesting things, really. Does AI play a role? Maybe, probably. Is it the magic bullet that solves any problem found in Greater Vegas? That would be fun, wouldn't it? Things will probably work out in different ways that are not quite that, but time will tell. And being open to the idea is one thing. Hanging one's hat on that, I don't know. Trying to pitch it as the end all and be all, the way of the world moving forward, we're still at that left side of the hype cycle, in my opinion. Tremendous amount of money is being spent, and already those people with billions and billions of invested dollars and from others are pulling back a little bit, setting expectations. Speaking of bubbles, in the meantime, enable and encourage innovation in Greater Vegas. Absolutely. Invite others to visit from other places and do the same in our innovation destination. That's the broken record part. We have 155,000 hotel rooms. They should always be full, whether it's people watching professional sports or here for gaming and entertainment, just being tourists, here for trade shows and conventions, or coming with their fellow employees and collaborators and colleagues from parts unknown to meet up in Vegas for innovation sprints and other ideation, innovation, and implementation activities. revive the allegedly flagging tourism industry. I say allegedly because the stories vary day by day, but before I forget, welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, the newest attempt to get more people to come here and make this a smarter, smart city, showcasing innovation, local and otherwise. Maybe it happens in Vegas first and then in your town or something like that. Maybe it happens somewhere else and it shows up in Vegas for more people to experience it. I have a whole startup around that. Speaking of the road ahead, this is the final point. We could add mass transit to an area of innovation that has most definitely been riding the productivity plateau for a while now. See what I did there? Let's make it easier for people to get around Greater Vegas while they avoid parking fees, awful traffic, pedestrian collisions, and more. And hey, public transit is more efficient. And this and maybe a few other areas that you are pondering right now as you're listening to this, as the show comes to an end, these ideas are lousy with potential for innovation. No gentrification required. There are things that we see around us every day that the tourists and visitors to this oasis in the desert are experiencing, and they sometimes speak of frustrations around some of these things. And some of the things are just like they experience back home, and some things they experience back home could be tested here on a large audience and see what works better, and then we can deploy those things. Vegas could be the innovation hub it thinks it is for the visitors to try, an innovation destination for those implementing. Oh man, there's so many possibilities here. We should end the show so I can get back to work on some of this stuff. Just exercise your creativity and engage proactively in ideation, innovation, and implementation for the win. Production by the street always gets in the way of my closing remarks. So that's what I have to say about that. Re-innovate. Don't think that Vegas has to be on the leading and cutting edges of AI, and we're going to be the next big AI, and we're all these things to all people. There's enough possibility for innovation around things that we already know could work better. And we have so many people visiting, even though tourism is down by, and by the way, this is a point of frustration. The way the headlines make it sound, there is a month over month reduction in tourism. That is July tourism is down another 11%. I think it was something to that effect. And of course you have to read the article if they make it clear, but you also have to be aware they're looking at July 2024 to July 2025. They're looking at June 24 to 25. So when they say that's down, it's down this month from the previous year, but they make it sound like it's a continuously falling number. It's essentially been down about 10%. Oh, I'm hearing some weird plumbing noises. I got to go check on that. So it's down about 10% from last year. And that's been sort of true month over month. So yeah, we're missing out on some of that visitor goodness, but these are interesting times. These are times to reflect on what we could do with what we have and make a better Vegas. Thank you for listening as always. cafegenius.org, a work in progress. Check that out if you will. I'll put back some of the stuff about Pitch Workout Room, Pitch Mingle, some of the other efforts, the Genius Roundtable and so on. So the site now is just getting everything kind of up and running, getting the fundamentals, the foundational stuff up and running with on the server side. So now I can start working on some content. I know I've said that now for at least a week. There's four websites, 5? There are more than that actually. In my copious free time, or as my friend from East Germany used to say, we work 24 hours in a day and then we work at night, and I got to figure that out again. On that note, have a great weekend, whichever day you're listening to this, and let's get back to that re-innovating. Take care now. Bye-bye.